It's 1:30 already. It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Take care of that throat. You're a big singing star now, remember?
You're on my lucky.
Singin' in the Rain, 1952, directed by Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen, is often called the greatest movie musical of all time.
What a gorgeous creature, beautiful girl. Let me call a preacher, what can I do?
But the making of this classic was filled with grueling rehearsals, behind-the-scenes drama, and shocking secrets that make its flawless final product even more impressive. Here are 20 weird facts you didn't know about Singin' in the Rain, 1952. Number 1. Debbie Reynolds was a complete newbie. When 19-year-old Debbie Reynolds was cast as the talented up-and-comer Kathy Selden, she had a secret. She couldn't dance a lick. While she had been a gymnast, the intricate, high-speed tap routines required for the film were completely alien to her. She was thrown into the deep end with two of the greatest dancers in cinematic history, Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. The pressure was immense, and Kelly, a notorious perfectionist, was not an easy teacher. Reynolds was forced to rehearse relentlessly, day and night, just to keep up. She later famously said, "The two hardest things I ever did in my life are childbirth and singing in the rain." Looking at her incredible performance, you'd never guess she was learning on the job, which is a testament to her sheer grit and determination. Number 2. The Good Morning number was a 15-hour nightmare. The cheerful and seemingly effortless Good Morning sequence is one of the film's highlights.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
But filming it was pure torture for the cast. The scene took an entire day to shoot. From 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., a grueling 15-hour marathon of non-stop dancing. The final shot of the number, where the trio tips a couch over and falls onto it laughing, was the hardest part. It reportedly took 40 takes to get it right. By the end of the day, Debbie Reynolds' feet were literally bleeding, and she had to be carried to her dressing room. Donald O'Connor, who was a heavy smoker, was left completely exhausted. The smiles and laughter you see on screen are a feat of professional acting, hiding the real physical pain and exhaustion they were all feeling. Number 3. Fred Astaire was her secret mentor. During one particularly brutal rehearsal, a frustrated and overwhelmed Debbie Reynolds broke down in tears and went to hide under a piano on the MGM lot, convinced she couldn't go on. As luck would have it, the legendary Fred Astaire happened to be walking by. Astaire, who was arguably Gene Kelly's biggest rival and another dance icon, found the crying Reynolds and, instead of ignoring her, took her under his wing. He invited her to watch him rehearse his own routines, showing her that even masters like him had to work tirelessly and persevere through mistakes. Seeing Astaire's own dedication and process up close gave Reynolds the confidence boost she needed to return to the set and face the challenge head-on. It was a small act of kindness from a Hollywood legend that helped save one of the film's most important performances. Number 4. Gene Kelly filmed the title number with a 103-degree fever. The film's most iconic scene, Gene Kelly joyfully splashing through puddles while singing the title song, is a picture of pure happiness. But behind the scenes, Kelly was feeling anything but joyful. On the day the sequence was shot, he was suffering from a terrible fever, which has been reported to be as high as 103 degrees. Anyone else would have been in bed, but Kelly was a professional and insisted on going through with the shoot. He powered through the physically demanding dance, which involved being drenched by artificial rain for hours on end. The scene wasn't done in one take either. It took 2 to 3 days to film. Despite being seriously ill, Kelly delivered one of the most memorable and uplifting performances in movie history, a true testament to his dedication. Number 5. Donald O'Connor's big number nearly killed him. Donald O'Connor's solo, Make 'Em Laugh, is a masterpiece of physical comedy.
You start off by pretending you're a dancer with grace. You wiggle till they're giggling all over the place.
Featuring slapstick, acrobatics, and his famous wall flips. It looks exhausting on screen because it was. O'Connor, who admitted to smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day at the time, threw his entire body into the routine, take after take. After finally getting a perfect take, he was bedridden for several days from pure exhaustion and carpet burns. Then, the cast and crew received devastating news. A technical error had ruined all the footage. It was unusable. Heartbreakingly, O'Connor had to drag himself back to the set after he recovered and do the entire punishing routine all over again. He somehow managed to recreate the magic, but the physical toll was immense. If you're enjoying this so far, hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome movie facts. And tell us in the comments, what movie brings you the most nostalgia and which one should we cover next? Number 6. Make 'Em Laugh was a total ripoff. While Make 'Em Laugh is one of the most memorable songs in the film, its origins are a little shady. Directors Kelly and Donen felt O'Connor needed a solo number, but nothing from the existing catalog of songs felt right. They asked producer Arthur Freed and composer Natio Herb Brown to write something new, specifically requesting a song similar to Cole Porter's Be a Clown from the 1948 film The Pirate. What they got back wasn't just similar. It was practically identical. The melody, rhythm, and structure are so close that director Stanley Donen later called it 100% plagiarism. But since Arthur Freed was the powerful head of the production unit at MGM, nobody dared to call him out. Cole Porter never sued, supposedly because he was grateful to Freed for his career support, so the song stayed in, becoming a classic born from a blatant copy. Number 7. The movie was a vanity project. Singin' in the Rain wasn't conceived as a groundbreaking story. It was designed as a vehicle for producer Arthur Freed's old songs. Freed had been a successful lyricist in the 20s and 30s with composer Natio Herb Brown, and he wanted to build a movie around their back catalog. This type of film, now known as a jukebox musical, was a bit of a gamble. Screenwriters Betty Comden and Adolph Green were given a list of Freed Brown songs and told to write a story that connected them all. Their genius idea was to set the film during the transition to sound, a period when all those songs were originally written, which gave the movie a clever, self-referential framework. So, what could have been a simple vanity project ended up becoming a witty and insightful look at Hollywood history. Number 8. It wasn't based on a Broadway show. You'd be forgiven for thinking that a musical this polished and iconic must have started its life on a Broadway stage. So many of the great movie musicals from Hollywood's golden age were adaptations of hit stage shows. But Singin' in the Rain flipped the script. It wasn't based on a play at all. It was an original screenplay written specifically for the screen. The twist is that while the story was new, the songs were mostly old. Decades later, after the film had become a legendary classic, the process was reversed. The movie was adapted into a stage musical, which finally hit London's West End in 1983 before making its way to Broadway. It's one of the rare cases where the movie came first and inspired the stage show, not the other way around.
Broadway rhythm, it's got me, everybody singing.
Number 9. The Broadway Melody Ballet was a last-minute addition. The stunning 10-minute Broadway melody sequence near the end of the film feels like its grand centerpiece. But it was actually an afterthought. Producer Arthur Freed was so impressed by the success of a similar extended ballet sequence in An American in Paris, which also starred Gene Kelly, that he decided Singin' in the Rain needed one too. The sequence was added late in production, after most of the film was already shot. This explains why Donald O'Connor is nowhere to be seen in it. By the time they decided to film the ballet, O'Connor's contract with MGM was up, and he had already left to start filming another movie, one of the Francis the Talking Mule pictures for Universal. Number 10. Debbie Reynolds wasn't considered a good enough dancer for the finale. The leading lady of a musical would normally be the star of its biggest dance number, but not in this case. While Debbie Reynolds had worked herself to the bone to keep up in the other numbers, the Broadway Melody Ballet required a level of technical skill and sensuality that the filmmakers felt was beyond her experience at the time. The role logically should have been Kathy Selden's part in Don Lockwood's Dream, but Gene Kelly needed a true prima ballerina to pull it off. After his An American in Paris co-star Leslie Caron was unavailable, Kelly brought in Sid Charisse, a dancer with legs for days and unparalleled technical prowess. Reynolds understood the decision, admitting that she was simply not in the same league as Charisse as a dancer. Number 11. They had to hide Sid Charisse's height. Sid Charisse was a tall, statuesque dancer, and when she wore heels, she was actually taller than Gene Kelly. In the hyper-masculine world of 1950s Hollywood, having the female dancer tower over the male lead was a big no-no. To solve this, Kelly used his brilliant choreography to create a visual illusion. If you watch the Broadway melody sequence closely, you'll notice that he and Charisse are almost never standing perfectly upright next to each other. They are constantly leaning, bending, or moving in ways that mask their height difference. It's a subtle but masterful trick that allows them to dance intimately without breaking the era's visual conventions. Number 12. A seductive dance move was cut by censors. Even in a wholesome musical like Singin' in the Rain, filmmakers had to deal with the strict censorship of the Hays Code. During the Broadway melody ballet, Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse perform a steamy pas de deux. The censors were worried it might be too suggestive for audiences. They specifically warned Kelly beforehand not to choreograph any moves where Charisse wrapped her legs around his waist, even though such lifts are common in classical ballet. Kelly tried to push the boundaries, and apparently one move went too far. If you watch the dance closely, you can spot a very abrupt jump cut where a small piece of footage was clearly snipped out. The unconfirmed but widely accepted story is that the censors demanded the removal of a move they deemed too risque. The missing footage is now presumed to be lost forever. Number 13. Sid Charisse smoked her first and last cigarette on set. In the Broadway melody sequence, Sid Charisse makes a memorable entrance as a gangster's moll, holding a long cigarette holder. The directors felt that a seductive, mysterious character like hers should be a smoker. There was just one problem. Sid Charisse had never smoked a cigarette in her life. She told Kelly and Donen she had no idea how to even hold it or puff on it convincingly. So, production paused while the directors gave her a quick lesson on how to smoke like a femme fatale. She learned just enough to get through the scene, but apparently she didn't enjoy the experience at all. After the cameras stopped rolling, she put out the cigarette and never smoked again for the rest of her life. Number 14. The film's costumes were a bigger job than Gone with the Wind. The man behind the fabulous 1920s fashion in the film was legendary costume designer Walter Plunkett. Plunkett was no stranger to massive productions. He was the same designer who created the iconic costumes for Gone with the Wind. You might think a historical epic like that would be his biggest job, but Plunkett himself said that Singin' in the Rain was actually more work. The film required a huge number of ornate and detailed costumes to recreate the look of Hollywood's silent era. And, unlike the Civil War, the late 1920s were still in living memory for many audience members, so the designs had to be perfectly accurate. In total, Plunkett and his team designed around 500 costumes for the film, from glamorous flapper dresses to sharp suits.
Lena, you look gorgeous.
Yeah, Lena, you look pretty good for a girl.
For heaven's sake, what's the big idea?
Number 15. The leads had a 20-year age gap. Hollywood has a long history of casting much older male leads opposite very young female co-stars, and Singin' in the Rain was no exception. Gene Kelly, playing the suave movie star Don Lockwood, was 39 years old during filming. His on-screen love interest, Debbie Reynolds, had just turned 19. This 20-year age difference between them is quite noticeable today, but it was completely standard for the time. Despite the gap, their on-screen chemistry as the bickering but charming couple worked beautifully, becoming a core part of the film's appeal.
Is it all right for you to be seen publicly with me?
You mean lofty star with humble player?
Not exactly.
Number 16. Kelly and O'Connor had never worked together before. Given their incredible on-screen chemistry as best friends, Don Lockwood and Cosmo Brown, you'd think Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor had been a comedy dance duo for years. In reality, Singin' in the Rain was the very first time they ever worked together. O'Connor grew up in a vaudeville family and had been performing since he was a baby, starring in dozens of movies before this one. Kelly, though 13 years older, started his Hollywood career a bit later. Their paths had never crossed. Even more surprising, O'Connor almost wasn't cast. Producer Arthur Freed originally wanted Oscar Levant, who had co-starred with Kelly in An American in Paris, for the role of Cosmo. However, Levant was a pianist, not a dancer. Everyone else involved, the directors and screenwriters, insisted that the part needed a real dancer, and thankfully they won the argument, leading to the perfect casting of O'Connor.
A roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. A Mose is a Mose.
A rose is a rose.
Number 17, it was initially seen as a letdown. Today, Singin' in the Rain is universally regarded as a masterpiece, but when it was first released, the reception was a bit muted. It came out just a few months after An American in Paris, another MGM musical produced by Arthur Freed and starring Gene Kelly. That film had been a critical and commercial juggernaut, culminating in a Best Picture win at the Oscars. By comparison, Singin' in the Rain did well at the box office, but received very little awards attention, only snagging 2 Oscar nominations and winning none. It was seen as a fun, light, but ultimately lesser film than its predecessor. It took decades for critics and audiences to fully appreciate its genius, and its reputation has since eclipsed that of its more decorated contemporary.
And I just won't do it.
You got a 5-year contract, honey. You do what RF says.
Number 18. It has a perfect 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes. A testament to its enduring quality, Singin' in the Rain holds a perfect 100% approval rating on the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes based on dozens of reviews from critics spanning several decades. This is an incredibly rare feat, especially for a film made over 70 years ago. Critics consistently praise its wit, energy, and technical brilliance, hailing it as a flawless piece of entertainment that has not aged a day. The critical consensus calls it a transcendent piece of Hollywood magic, solidifying its status not just as a fan favorite, but as a critically untouchable masterpiece of filmmaking.
I'll do it, Don. I'll do it, but I never want to see you again, on or off the screen.
Number 19. The original film negative is gone forever. Tragically, the original camera negative for Singin' in the Rain, the master copy from which all other prints are made, no longer exists. In 1978, a devastating fire broke out at the George Eastman House Film Archives, where many MGM negatives were being stored. The fire destroyed a massive vault of priceless film history, including the entire negative for Singin' in the Rain. This means that any scenes that were cut from the final film, like the censored dance move, are likely gone forever. Thankfully, high-quality prints of the movie survived, which is why we can still watch beautifully restored versions today. But the original source material is lost to history.
Bless you all.
She didn't sound that way in the picture. Cut the talk, Lena, sing!
Number 20. It's an official national treasure. 35 years after its release, Singin' in the Rain finally received the official recognition it deserved. In 1989, it was one of the first 25 films selected by the United States Library of Congress for preservation in the National Film Registry. This honor is bestowed upon films deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Its inclusion cemented its place as not just a beloved musical, but as a vital piece of American cultural heritage that will be preserved for all time. It's a fitting tribute to a film that represents the absolute peak of Hollywood's golden age. And that's 20 shocking facts about Singin' in the Rain. 1952. From grueling productions to legendary performances, Gene Kelly and Stanley Donen's musical masterpiece remains one of the greatest films ever made. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment which movie we should cover next.